Good afternoon, my lovelies. What it do, what it do, what it do. This Miss Yaakov coming straight from that Spiker Star, aka the Messenger, aka the Virgo Goddess, aka the Daughters of Zion, aka that Topaz Gem Sapphire. Hey, listen, always have a message for you, but it's up to you to discern. Miss Yaakov is trying to say. Remember, I'm just outside looking into your world, see things that you just don't see, okay? But dig this. The name of this is called, it's a response video to A Savvy Guy, Why I Left the Church.
This is why I left the church, guys. I left the church because I realized that there are no good women in church. There are no good people in church. I grew up going to Creflo Dollar. How many of you guys are familiar with Creflo Dollar? You know, I know a lot of you guys was raised in the church, especially a lot of us brothers were raised going to church. I left the church because I believe in God. You know I talked about selling my soul to the evil one and all of that. I do believe in the Most High. But the reason why I backed away from the church is because I realized that those people in church are not who you think they are. Those people are not good people in church. And I wanted to believe for years that they're good people in church, that the people in church are good people. I wanted to believe that. And I know a lot of you guys did as well. You wanted to believe that the people in church were good, righteous, wholesome people of the Most High. I know a lot of you guys wanted to believe it because I wanted to. I used to believe that the church is where, you know, all the good, women were, where all the good people were. I used to believe that that's where all the good folks were, in church, in the house of the Lord. But I'm here to tell you, a lot of people have woken up to these churches. And a lot of people understand that a lot of these preachers, a lot of these people that go to church, they're not of the Most High. A lot of these people do not believe in the Most High. A lot of these pastors, they're all about money and materialism. That's all they're about. A lot of these so-called church people are just putting on a facade. A lot of these women in church claiming that they sanctified, claiming that they're a Holy Ghost woman. They're not a Holy Ghost woman. That's a facade. And that's what a lot of people have woken up and they understand that a lot of people in church are just putting on a facade. It's all an act. It's like auditioning for a movie. And this is why you have a lot of people who stop going to church. This is why I stopped going to church. Because I realized there are no good people in church. There are no good women in church. And I swore up and down that I was going to meet a good wife in church, that I was going to meet somebody that I was going to build a future with, and all of these things.
Okay. Let me just say this, right? Because let me just say this. I wish this thing just be quiet. Okay, let me just say this because he just kept going on and on and on, okay, about this whole thing on why he stopped going to church. Let me just say this, why I stopped going to the building called the church. I left the building that they called the church and became the church. That's the difference between me and him. Okay? Another difference between me and him is that I went there to learn. Okay? As you heard him, he was more so focusing on feeding his flesh than his spirit. He was focusing on the people, okay, instead of focusing on saving himself and saving his soul. Okay, so he was there for the wrong reasons in the first place. And then above it all, with this church, okay, I never in my life sat amongst the crowd. I always used to sit in the back. Okay, I had all the ushers and all them people literally coming up to me, asking me and offering me to sit with them in the front and with the crowd. Okay, why are you sitting in the back? You don't have to sit in the back. You can sit up here with me, with us. I never participated in that because I was never there for that. I was there to learn so I could save my soul, not there to make friends or find a lover. Okay? That's where he got it wrong at. Another thing with me, why I left the church, is the doctrine. Okay? The doctrine that they teach. The doctrine that they teach in religion is not aligning with God's principles. That's why I stopped going. You see the difference between why I stopped and why he stopped? He not one time mentioned anything about the doctrine or nothing. It was all about fleshly, worldly things. Oh, he thought he was going to find a wife. Oh, it ain't no good people. And another thing is this: another man's actions don't have anything to do with him, me, or nobody else. It shouldn't stop him from becoming a church and living and serving his purpose. He should be aiming to serve his purpose. Okay? That's the difference. Okay? These people be going there for the wrong reasons. You're supposed to go there to learn. Feed your soul and your spirit, not your flesh. You're not supposed to go there for the people. I never went there for nobody. I never went out to none of these conventions, okay, and all these other type of stuff they used to go. They used to go on a lot of trips. They used to take trips to Florida and all kinds of trips all over the states. I never participated in that because I was never there for that. Okay, I never mingled amongst the crowd. I never did, and I never will. I always was about the business and stood on business. Okay, and it's real funny how everybody claims they believe in God until it's time to live out his purpose. When it's time to live out his purpose, they want to sit here and focus on everybody else except for focusing on themselves. He needs to focus on his own salvation with himself and not nobody else. Another man's actions and how they behave don't have anything to do with him. Okay, finding his purpose and his salvation, because he go there so he could learn, so he could become a church himself. Okay, the church is the individual believer, not a building. And that's where he got it twisted and got it wrong at. But he was all over the place with this foolishness, with this building called the church. Okay. Also, before I break on out of here, I stepped to the pastor, okay, about his doctrine after I read for myself, and I started all the way back from Genesis. I asked him questions about the Torah, okay, and he started talking about, oh, it was done away with and was saying all this stuff. Next thing you know, I eased my way on up out of there, and I ain't look back, okay? I ain't look back. Okay, I didn't like the doctrine that they was teaching because you had me sitting up in there on Sunday and the Sabbath was Saturday, the seventh day. Okay, but again, he never said anything about the doctrine that they teach. It was all about somebody else's behavior. Oh, there's no good people in church. Oh, the church people is like this. So what? What that got to do with you and your salvation? So what they like that? You're not supposed to let them stop you from learning. You're supposed to keep on learning. And it don't even just stop. It don't even stop there when you go into an institutional place of learning. You got to do that at home. You got to do that at home. You got to seek that for yourself at home. This is a for self thing. You can't be using no excuses because ain't no buts when it's time to save your soul. When you in this rat race to save your soul, ain't no but. There's no such thing as but. Either you going to give it all you got or you ain't. And just going to be left behind to face judgment. Okay, but that's what it is with that. Anywho, I'm about to get on out of here. This is the Daughters of Zion, that Spiker Star, the brightest star of the constellation. Looking into your world, see things you just don't see. Hey, listen, stop following behind man. Okay, another man's happiness or behavior don't have anything to do with you and your salvation. You focus on yourself. And if whatever they teach is not aligning up with God's will, eliminate yourself from their equation. Remove yourself from their equation. Anywho, this is the Daughters of Zion, that Spiker Star, brightest star of the constellation. Looking into your world, see things you just don't see. I'm going.